So when you hear the term amino acids, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably protein, right? Muscle, hair, all the enzymes doing work in our bodies, the basic building blocks of life. But what if I told you that's only half the story? Today, we are going deep inside the molecular factory to uncover the secret life of amino acids. And trust me, it's a wild ride that shows what happens when their other hidden jobs go terribly wrong.
Okay, let's start things off with a real head-scratcher. What could possibly connect ancient folklore about vampires, the famously erratic behavior of King George III, and a newborn baby with yellowish skin? I know, it sounds like the setup to a very, very strange joke, but the answer is actually incredibly specific, and it's hidden deep inside our own cells.
And here it is. The link between all three is tiny, microscopic errors in how our bodies use amino acids for jobs that have nothing to do with building proteins. You know, these aren't just some abstract mistakes in a chemistry textbook. They have dramatic, real-world consequences that have literally shaped history and even our myths.
This right here gives us a fantastic look at our body's amino acid pool. Think of it like a central warehouse full of raw materials. And yeah, a huge chunk of it, about 400 grams a day, goes to building proteins. We can see that. But look at all those other arrows shooting off. Amino acids are the starting material for a whole bunch of specialized products. Things like hormones, the neurotransmitters that run our brain, and the crucial molecule we're going to focus on first, heme.
So, let's step into the first department of our molecular factory. We're heading to the assembly line that builds heme. That's the molecule that makes our blood red and, more importantly, carries oxygen to every single cell in our body.
Now, the technical name for the class of molecules we're building here is porphyrins. They are these beautiful, complex ring-like structures, and they are absolute masters at grabbing onto metal ions. In us humans, the superstar porphyrin is, without a doubt, heme. It masterfully clutches an iron atom right in its center, and that iron is what actually binds to oxygen. No heme, no oxygen transport. It's really that simple.
The process of building heme is just a masterpiece of biological engineering. It's an 8-step assembly line that actually spans 2 different compartments inside the cell. It all starts with simple raw materials, which are used to build a basic ring. Then it links 4 of those rings together, customizes the outside a little bit, and for the grand finale, it inserts that critical iron atom right smack in the middle.
And here we see step 1. The factory foreman, an enzyme we can call ALAS, takes one of our amino acids, glycine, and combines it with another molecule to get things started. This initial reaction is actually the most important control point on the entire line. It's the bottleneck. It sets the pace for all the production that comes after it.
From that starting point, a whole cascade of other enzymes take over. It's like a baton being passed down a line. Each enzyme performs one specific task, shaping, modifying, tweaking the molecules step by step. The whole process moves from one part of the cell to another, and then back again, until you get this large, intricate structure called protoporphyrin I9. It's basically the finished car chassis, just waiting for its engine.
But what happens when a worker on this finely tuned assembly line just doesn't show up for their shift? What if one of these incredibly precise steps fails? Well, that's when the factory breaks down. And that breakdown leads to a group of diseases called the porphyrias.
So the crucial point to get here is this. Porphyrias are genetic disorders. You have a faulty gene for one of the 8 enzymes in that heme pathway. So the assembly line gets blocked at one specific point. Heme production slows way down, sure, but the real problem is the toxic pileup of all the intermediate molecules from before the blockage.
I want you to think of this pathway like a river, and each enzyme is a gate in a dam. In porphyria, one of those gates is stuck shut. You can see it here with the red X. The precursor molecules, which are like the water, they can't flow through. So instead, they build up and up behind the dam until they overflow, and that overflow is what causes all the toxicity. And depending on which gate is blocked, different precursors build up, leading to different kinds of porphyria with very different symptoms.
And the results can be absolutely devastating. Certain precursors, when they build up and get near the skin, they react with sunlight, causing these painful blisters and lesions. This is the photosensitivity that many historians think might have contributed to vampire myths, people who couldn't go out in the sun. Other precursors get dumped into the urine, turning it a very distinctive reddish-brown color, a classic telltale sign. And King George III, the Mad King we mentioned, it's now widely believed he suffered from a form of porphyria, which would explain his bouts of delirium and his documented reddish urine.
But the story of heme doesn't just end when it's made.
After a very productive life of about 120 days inside a red blood cell, it's time for recycling. So let's head on over to the recycling plant.
So old, worn-out red blood cells are taken apart, mostly in the spleen. The iron from the heme, it's carefully saved and recycled. But the porphyrin ring itself gets broken open and converted into a yellow-orange pigment called bilirubin. This bilirubin is then shipped off to the liver to be processed so it can be safely removed from the body.
Okay, but what if this recycling process gets totally overwhelmed or just breaks down? Well, if bilirubin can't be processed and removed fast enough, its levels in the blood start to rise, and because it's a yellow pigment, it literally stains your tissues, which leads to the condition we all know as jaundice. It's not a disease itself, it's a giant flashing yellow warning light that something is wrong in the heme disposal pathway.
Now, not all jaundice is the same. The cause really depends on where the system is failing. In hemolytic jaundice, so many red blood cells are being destroyed that the liver just can't keep up with the flood of bilirubin. In hepaticellular jaundice, the liver itself is sick, maybe from something like hepatitis or cirrhosis, and it just can't do its job properly. And then there's obstructive jaundice, where the liver is working just fine, but a blockage, like a gallstone, is physically preventing the processed bilirubin from getting out.
And this brings us back to our yellow baby. A newborn's liver often isn't running at full capacity yet. The enzyme needed to process bilirubin can be a little sluggish, which leads to a temporary buildup. Now, in most cases, it's totally harmless and it just resolves on its own. But if the levels get too high, there's a really simple and quite elegant treatment they use: phototherapy. Special blue light actually changes the shape of the bilirubin molecule, making it water-soluble so the baby's body can get rid of it, without even needing the liver to help. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, we've spent a lot of time on the whole heme story, but that is just one of the incredible secret lives of amino acids. Now, let's zoom out and explore their role as the starting point for some of our body's most important chemical messengers.
Just think about this for a second. That feeling of well-being you get from serotonin, it starts with the amino acid tryptophan. That fight-or-flight rush of adrenaline, starts with tyrosine. The itch from a mosquito bite caused by histamine, that's from histidine. And the explosive energy you need for a sprint, powered by creatine, which is built from glycine and arginine. These are not just obscure chemicals. They are absolutely fundamental to how we feel and function every single day.
I mean, just look at this chemical cascade. It's incredible. One single amino acid, tyrosine, gets converted into dopa, then into the reward neurotransmitter dopamine, which can then become norepinephrine for focus, and finally epinephrine, what we usually call adrenaline, for that massive surge of energy in a crisis. One starting block, and you get multiple crucial messengers that control our mood and our reaction.
So let's zoom all the way out and take a look at the big picture. We've seen that amino acids are not just inert building blocks. No way. They are active, essential participants in a vast, dynamic network.
This map really puts it all together. Over on the left, you've got the heme synthesis factory. In the middle, you can see its breakdown and recycling. You can literally trace the entire journey, and you can see exactly where things can go wrong, the blockages causing porphyrias, and the different failures that lead to jaundice. It's an intricate blueprint where every single step is absolutely critical for the whole system to work. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Our bodies are running millions of these tiny, intricate assembly lines every single second and with almost perfect precision. We've seen today how just one faulty enzyme, one single stuck gear in this enormous factory, can lead to such profound consequences. It really shows you just how fragile and at the same time how incredibly beautiful the chemistry of life truly is.